Hi there, this is Bret Hendricks, and I am, as well as being the editor of the Family Digest, I am also serving as the co-chair of the Ethics Committee for IAMFC alongside Loretta Bradley. And a couple of things that we just wanted to share with you today regarding ethics, that particularly during this time of pandemic, there are some things that may be really relevant, that are relevant in a different way since the world has changed in the last few months. And so I know that a couple of sections of the code of the ACA Code of Ethics that I wanted to point you toward today. B2C of the ACA Code of Ethics is a part of the code that references contagious and life-threatening diseases. Again, this was written at a time when we'd never faced anything like this, but this has some particular relevance now, and I'm not going to quote it to you. You can go find it for yourself. You can download the ACA Code of Ethics free of charge. Go to counseling.org, and the code is there. C2G also, that's C2G. Feel like I'm calling bingo numbers out, of the American Counseling Association Code of Ethics. Alludes to something that I talked about in the introduction to the Family Digest today about wellness and about us taking care of ourselves, that we monitor ourselves for any impairment, and that if we see that we have any impairment, then we get help with that impairment through either supervision or counseling. Easier said than done, right? We like to think of ourselves as rather invincible sometimes, and that the helpers don't need that much help. And so I just want to encourage you that in this time of particular acute stress, that we all as counselors need to have those people who are in our trusted circle of counselors with whom we can consult, that we consult with them and we talk about our stuff. Because I think that every one of us is carrying a huge burden. I think that each of us needs to make sure that we're utilizing those lifelines that we have with our fellow counselors. Again, that's something really wonderful that IAMFC can provide to you as well, that there are a lot of wonderful IAMFC members who have provided hours of consultation to me through the years. And this is just that sort of group that will lend its hand in fellowship that way. In our IAMFC Ethics Code, we also talk about that we wrote in that code, letter C, number 8, that we also, again, seek out if there's any issue about impairment, then we work with that. We try to manage our own stuff that we have. And so, again, I want to point you toward the IAMFC Ethics Code, not without quoting all of these per se, but just to also remind you that A2 of the IAMFC Ethics Code is specifically written about goal changes, and that as we work with clients and as we work with the client goals, that we update those goals periodically. And in my very limited private practice, I can tell you that the goals for the clients with whom I've been working during the pandemic have significantly changed. People are much more attuned to existential life questions. They're much more attuned to spirituality. They're much more attuned to in many ways, their own fears and anxieties. And many times we've had to update and change goals during that process. And so make sure that you're articulating that with your clients. Make sure that you're working through those things with clients, because this is a time when people are reordering. And so that reordering needs to also be evident in the documentation that you're doing. Again, we always encourage you, as I said in my previous message to you at the beginning of the digest, please take care of yourselves. Years ago, I submitted a program to a large counseling association to do some ethics training. And I talked about wellness and I talked about ethics. And when I got feedback from that submission, they said, I think you got two things mixed up here that don't really belong together. And so I had to explain the rationale for that. And now I think a lot of people are talking about wellness and ethics. that wellness is something that we have to actively pursue. And when we're tired, when we're stressed, when we're dealing with our own issues that we have, then we're much more prone to have ethical dilemmas and to succumb to some things that we might not normally do, cutting corners with regard to ethics. So I would encourage you. The biggest message that I would tell you is something that I just incidentally said a few minutes ago about that we want you to consult the code. Please consult the code. You can go to the IAMFC website, which Rob has put on this digest. You can download the IAMFC Code of Ethics free. The ACA Code of Ethics is also on counseling.org. Please read the codes. Read the codes. I think it's very simple to read the code. I think sometimes it's easier when we're in the middle of a stressful situation. Sometimes we tend to go back to tradition that we may have developed, which may or may not be in line with the code. So go back and read the code. Just read it. I think that being able to read through it can give you some actually some solace during this, because it really does frame what we do as counselors. It frames how we uh, conceptualize. It frames how we bracket our own personal values. Um, it's certainly not something, these codes are not meant ever to be just things that we bludgeon each other with, or that we look at as just dichotomous things that are right or wrong. Read the aspirational sections of the codes, because those are very, very important. So again, our message to you from the Wellness Committee is to stay true to your ethics codes. Also read your state code. Go back and read your state code for whatever license you have for your own state. Some of you are licensed in multiple states. Review some of those codes. I get really tired when people say, they make cracks about, oh, that's boring, it'll put you to sleep. Really, I mean, sorry, it's our ethics code. It's who we are. It's our blueprint for what we do as counselors. I don't think we should be referring to that as something that puts us to sleep. So, sorry. Um, and so please read the codes. Read the codes. Um, and make sure that as you read the code, that you are also doing some things, as I said in my earlier message, to take care of yourself in this. You are the most important instrument you have in counseling. And so take care of the instrument. So again, thank you. We appreciate all of the work that you do on a day-to-day basis. You are frontline defenders, and you are frontline people who are taking care and saving lives. And we thank you for everything that you do every day for the families and for your clients whom you serve. Thank you.